Upmisers what? And risers is randomizers. Thanks for sitting down at the Messy Desk with me this week. And if you just heard me say that and you feel like you're having a stroke, don't worry. You're probably not. I'm not a doctor. Put a disclaimer there. Not a doctor. Can't guarantee that you're not having a stroke, but probably you're not. Today, I just wanted to talk about something that's really fun and important in music making, something that I think sometimes doesn't get enough attention, especially early on when you're making music, and that is being so random. Using randomization to make your boring doo-doo tracks less boring doo-doo tracks. Case in point, I have an old track of mine here that has now actually been released into the world. It was released sometime last year. Escaping Stasis. I'm really proud of it. I think I did a great job. I think I'm great, and you should tell me I'm great down there. But you can always go back and you can always improve more, and that's kind of the frustrating thing about music is that you never really know when you're actually done because there's always more that can be done. You kind of just have to sign the dotted line and say, okay, no more. But today I broke my contract and I went back and I said, what can I do to make this less plain? And the number one thing that I think kind of changed my workflow when I started doing it is using kind of controlled randomization a little bit, choosing where you want to introduce little bits of randomness to liven up an otherwise kind of plain or repetitious element of your track. Randomization, I think, can be used in really jarring ways. And a lot of it is used like in modular. There's a lot of jarring random stuff that is like generative, but completely unlistenable, in my opinion. And that's not the kind of stuff I want to do. I just want to take a boring hi-hat and make it a little more entertaining, or, take an effect like a comb filter and make it a little more lively. And so that's what I've done here in this project. Shouldn't take long to go over it. I just want to give you, 3 different ways that I think you can introduce randomness, especially on the Octatrack. And so, 3 different ways we can introduce randomness. Let's talk about it. I don't know why I'm doing a lead up to an intro. I'm not doing an intro to this video. It's too short and I don't care. Okay, so first, let's listen to the track, and then we will kind of break down what's going on as per usual. Okay, so let's break down what's going on there. I want to focus primarily on the hi-hat because that is what I spent the most amount of energy kind of trying to liven up a little bit, because I felt like a lot of the other elements in the track were pretty sufficiently interesting anyway. And luckily on the Octatrack, we have 3 LFOs, so we have plenty of room to play. And what I decided to mess around with was the pitch, the balance, and the hold. Now, balance and hold in Octatrack language, the balance is this panning in the stereo space, and hold is, I guess, sustain, maybe? Someone post a snippet of the manual down below, and we can figure it out together and make me feel foolish. And so if we listen to it by itself, it sounds like this. Which is really nice. I think that it does just enough to kind of bounce it around in your headphones a little bit and make it sound less kind of just robotic and samey with every step, right? It's being different with every step, and that's really useful. You might, if you're a keen-eared viewer, hear that there's something else going on there as well. Link does a shake. He knows. Is that there's a comb filter actually on the master. And what I'm doing with it, in fact, is I have trigless locks on the master, which is something you can do if you didn't know that. I didn't know for a long time that was even a thing, and it's really useful because it lets you do kind of controlled modulation apart from scenes. So I did that. And what's happening is that the entire master is being run through this comb filter, and I have trigless locks that are locking the pitch. Specifically, here it goes from a C to a D, and then here it goes to a G, and then a C again, with a little bit of parameter locking going on there. What does this have to do with random, you might be asking me? This isn't tacos or dinosaurs, or you're not holding up a spork. Where's the Penguin of Doom? Don't worry, I'm about to break it down for you, so just be patient. We can be random, but we gotta be patient. These two steps, I'm doing what I like to call planned random, if you will, where I've made this trigger a trig condition to say happen only 50% of the time. And now, so this is my little bit of randomness here, right? 15 I have set to the pre-trig condition. So that says basically only trigger when this triggers. So while this is random, I know that when this triggers, this will also trigger. So as soon as I hear this trigger, I know, okay, this will also be triggering. And this is something you can do all over the place. If I wanted to make my hi-hat pattern a little more interesting, I could start making some of these percentage conditional trigs and some of the following ones preconditional trigs, so that I can have some randomness in the actual pattern of my hi-hat, but also some reliability in that randomness, so it's not completely different every time around. My buddy Ehor was talking about this. If you haven't seen his channel, check it out. He's a very smart, beautiful Eastern European man, and he deserves way more subs than I have. So go give him more than you've given me. Thank you. He was saying he doesn't want random that is entirely random. He wants some form of repetition, which I agree with. Repetition is good, for all the talk that I give about don't, let something repeat too much. Some repetition is good. Repetition is the heart of like groove in music, especially if you're doing like house or long techno tracks or whatever. So I suggested to him trying that. You can set the percentages, the pre-trig conditions. You can even set the negative pre-trig conditions. So you can say when this one does trigger, this one doesn't trigger, and you get even more controlled randomness that way. So yeah, that's kind of it. In terms of what else is going on in the track, I have this little scene here where everything's in a bandpass, and the mix of the comb filter is turned up a bit. Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a really simple video for a really simple concept that a lot of beginners don't consider, I think. I didn't for a long time. I always wondered how tracks sounded as lively as they do, specifically with like synth patches. I've been doing a lot of random LFOs in my synth patches as well, where it just adds a little bit of spice and flair and I don't know, just a little extra something that I think is really easy to not consider when you're, trying to make music, especially if you're like me, where you have this really weird, like aversion to ever making a bad sound. I hate it when things sound bad. I want them to always sound good. And so I don't really struggle through those in-between moments to get to the really good stuff. Don't make that mistake. Let yourself sound bad. Let yourself figure out just how much randomness you need to dial in. Use too much at first, you can always pull it back. And I think you'll find that your music is better for it. So anyway, I think that's going to do it for me this week. I want to thank you so much for watching. Could have sat down with anybody in the world today, this morning. I'm actually recording during the day for once, so it's not after work. It's like 9:30 in the morning. And yeah, it's Octomom's birthday, so we're going to go get brunch. Brunch is back on. COVID is over. If you haven't heard, no one's sick anymore. No one's dying. Don't check that. You don't have to double check that. Just trust me implicitly. Everything's fine. So we're going to go out and have brunch, maskless, of course, and just vibe. And go to a cookout and hug and kiss everybody, But yeah, seriously, drop a comment down below, please, and tell Octomom happy birthday, because she deserves it. I still haven't said it with my human mouth, so as soon as I get off this video, I better go do that and give her big love and big brunch and big present. So, anyway, I want to thank you so much for watching. I'm Daniel, this is The Messy Desk, and I love you more than I love kissing my family square on the lips. I'll see you next week. Peace.